Yo, what's going on, friends, and welcome on home. That's right, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. As always, mate, I do hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. And welcome back to your daily Chelsea news briefing here on Football Therapy. So I'm going to go over the horrible, disgusting World Wide Web and pick out some, interesting talking points regarding Chelsea, giving my thoughts on it, of course. It being days away from a transfer window, there's a lot of talking points, speculation of course, and though people are expecting Chelsea to do little to no business in January, there's some reports suggesting otherwise. In today's video, we're going to speak about an almost certain exit of course, Axel Disasi, Nico Jackson, little update on him. Of course, yesterday we saw the scintillating on flames. Morgan Rogers scored 2 belters against Man United to seal all 3 points, a player that Chelsea apparently made a top target last summer. He signed a new deal, but could we return in for the superstar? Oh my god, he would cost a lot of money. Yes, a bit of Nico Jackson, what he's going. Apparently we're looking at a 20 goals this season forward from Palmeiras. We've recently done some pretty positive business with Palmeiras in the form of a Estevão. I'll be citing Simon Phillips for that. Caught offside, we are looking at a young midfielder from Lille. Every time we get linked to a player from Lille, I just think Eden Hazard. Do you know what I mean? It's still deep within my heart that I think, wow, that'd be nice. And apparently Chelsea are looking for a defender and midfielder, a little bit more from Phillips. So there's lots to get into, lots of spoken rumours, and, we know one thing about Chelsea. Under Abramovich, but of course in this ownership group as well, they are always moving. They're always sniffing out talent, yeah? They're always looking for the next best thing. And we're a good side, we're a talented side, but of course we are not a perfect side. So, always room for improvement. To find your extra little, Palmers, Estevãos, and, dare I say, Gustos. I know he had an absolute stinker last time out, but he's generally playing very well. But these really, good acquisitions, of which there are a few. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching on YouTube, please do consider supporting by liking this video. If you've got any hype points to spare, drop them down. I've got a cap here, beggar's cap. Please, sir, drop your hype points down here. Yeah, thanks, mate, for liking and subscribing. On podcast platforms, this is boring admin, not sexy stuff here, but I've switched podcast distributors to Spotify, so this video should be available on Spotify. Hello, those of you watching on Spotify. It may be might be a delay on getting it back on Apple Podcasts, but look, I'm doing the admin, mate. I'm doing the admin, so thank you for that, and let's get into it. Hopping off with the ongoing, slow-burning, life-draining story of Axel Disasi. Now, of course, he's been a professional in the background, playing with the under-21s, captaining them, and not causing a fuss. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed he will leave in January. Several clubs are interested or on alert. High alert for Disasi. He's been an option for Milan, AC Milan, which is great. No concrete talks at the moment, but I imagine this is me speaking, I imagine there's a lot of teams in France who are interested in the French defender, who can, and probably shouldn't, play right back. When he's sorted out, and I do believe this will be sorted out in January, it will just leave the one big issue, which will of course be Raheem Sterling. And we will cross that bridge when it comes. The only problem is, my dear sweet friends, is I have no ruddy idea where that bridge is to be crossed. It is desperately painful, but also morbidly fascinating. What's going to happen to Raheem Sterling? The guy who doesn't want to go to Saudi or Turkey, that just wants to get paid his 300k a week and live in London. I mean, I kind of almost get it. Those watching the video will probably notice I've rearranged the shirts behind me. So now you can see the special FA Cup, from the 70s final revamp, whatever that was, under 2019, under lamps. Look, I do want to speak very briefly on Morgan Rogers, because we were so heavily linked to Morgan Rogers for so long. I'm pretty sure he's Man City Academy. Oh my god, I need to double check that while I'm speaking to you, because if I'm wrong, it makes me look like a knobber. Oh no, he was at Man City, but it was in his senior career because he's a West Brom Youth Academy graduate, but he was at Man City 2019 to 2023, so that's 4 years. He would have been young, so that's 21. So a teenager to 21. That's why he knows Cole Palmer, because they would have played in the under-23s together. I guess he signed a pro deal at Man City. Regardless, it's the Joe Shields link, you know? All your Man City's players, your Jadon Sanchos, your Jamie Gittins, your Liam Delaps, your Cole Palmers, your Romeo Lavias. The list is as long as my ruddy arm, mate. We love them. Look, Morgan Rogers, look, this isn't necessarily... You go back to the summer. Sky Sports saying, and yes, it's Sky Sports, Chelsea make Morgan Rogers their priority target. Of course, we were looking at your Xavi Simonses as well. By the way, looks like we dodged the bullet with him. He's having a terrible time. Just that red card against Van Dijk the other night. Yeah, he's having an absolute stinker. He can't affect the games. All the Bundesliga boys, well, the two high-profile Bundesliga boys in Florian Wirtz and Xavi Simons, absolutely struggling. And they were the names that, you know, lots of football fans would have been like, yeah, bring those guys to our club. It's almost like more exotic. It's like more sexy. Bring the European performers, excuse me, to the Premier League. And Morgan Rogers, everyone was like, yeah, he's good, but he'll cost so much money. Surely that doesn't make sense. And then he started the season really badly, Morgan Rogers, to the point where, like, his own fans were giving ironic cheers when he completed a pass in games he was playing badly, which is really not very nice, I must say. And now, boy is on flames. Despite that poor start to the season for Aston Villa, his club, he actually was favoured by Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, really early doors, and was consistently playing well for England. And that England form almost eventually carried into his club form. Of course, Unai Emery stuck with him, and boy is absolutely on flames right now, scoring worldies every week, looking absolutely incredible. Of course, he is besties with Cole Palmer. And yes, the cold celebration is Morgan Rogers' celebration that Cole said, I'm going to do that next time. And obviously Cole scored a lot of goals. There's no animosity. They're so close. Of course, Morgan said, like, oh, he scored a million goals, he can have it, basically. And he said that in, you know, TNT Sports interviews. But I'd like to have them both at Chelsea. Of course, we didn't sign Rogers. We didn't sign Xavi Simons. We loaned Facundo Buonanotte. How about that for an anticlimax? Bless him. So Fabrizio Romano has said he signed a new deal at Villa, but he's one to watch in the future because, of course, and unsurprisingly, many clubs are interested. Chelsea had him on their list, and like I said, so many, you know, newspapers and news sites were saying Chelsea's top target is Morgan Rogers. But he never got to the point of an official proposal. No chance he leaves in January, which isn't surprising at all. They're literally kind of quietly say it in a title race. If you said to me, Jan, who would you rather win the Premier League? Arsenal, Man City, or Aston? You wouldn't even get to the Villa part. I'd say Aston Villa. I'd say them, let them have it. I'd love for Aston Villa to win the Premier League. See, obviously he's not going to leave in January. And even if they just finish in the top 4 and win the Europa League, which, by the way, both are very, very plausible, he's going to be 100 million quid. So, you know. Also, he's in number 10. I mean, if you have your two options, Cole Palmer or Morgan Rogers, you're like set. Like these midweek Champions League games when we're playing Facundo Buonanotte, you know, if you got Rogers or Palmer, you've got the game sewn up, mate. You got the game locked down. Look, I think we were going to actually play him as a sort of inside left forwardy player anyway. Probably won't happen, but I'd be very interested to see if Chelsea do make a move because, look, once these sporting directors get an idea of who they want, yeah, they do seem pretty persistent. And, you know, the thing with Xavi Simons, they had him. Xavi Simons wanted to come to Chelsea, but in the end, they never called him. so he went to Spurs. It was Chelsea not making the call. And by the way, well done, gentlemen. Well done for not making that call, because I was keen on him. I watched Adam Clary's video on why he could be the best signing yet for Chelsea out of these recent, acquisitions. And look, to be fair to him, maybe he's just been Tottenhamified. But, yeah, man, we've got Gittins, we've got Garnacho, we've got Esteva, we've got Neto. Ty will go, Palmer can play on the wing, but I really do think Maresca doesn't want to do that. He wants to keep him on the inside pockets, which probably makes sense. Anyway, let's move on and speak about Nico Jackson. So Mark Brew, I imagine the S is kind of silent, of caught offside, has explained that Chelsea are set to look for buyers for Nicolas Jackson, as he will not be staying at Bayern Munich beyond his loan spell. This isn't unsurprising, really, because for the obligation to be triggered, it was almost impossible, basically. Chelsea must have known that. But of course, he's playing high-level football. He's not a negative influence. Clearly, there was a fallout somewhere, so he's not this kind of negative influence. And even if it's not with the other players, if it's just between him and the manager, you don't want any sort of toxic influence around the gaff. He's playing high-level football for a winning team. Granted, as a bench player, but still, it's better than third choice at Chelsea. Although, yes, I agree, he would not be third choice at Chelsea. Had it stayed, he would have got loads of minutes. But, of course, that would have been dependent on him and Maresca getting along. Yeah, I think because it was a record loan fee, Chelsea made, insane amounts of money on the loan fee. And, of course, they're paying his wages, which for them isn't high at all because low age model at Chelsea. And he's got suitors from Newcastle are still interested, which really makes me think, what? Why? They've got Visser and Voltemada, and they both collectively cost 130 million quid together. So I don't know why they'd go for it. And Gordon can play down the middle as well. So I'd be very surprised if Newcastle returned in for Jackson. But Aston Villa doesn't surprise me at all. I see them coming back in from, of course, Watkins has been informed, but they never really replaced John Duran. Of course, they got Doniel Mallon. Doniel or Donnell? I'm thinking of the Donnell McNeely, the Chelsea youngster that's gone. But yeah, I can see Aston Villa going in for him. Ooh, maybe there can be a swap. Well, they will absolutely value Morgan Rogers higher than Nico Jackson. But let's be fair to Nico. Nico's lots of people don't like him at Chelsea, the Chelsea fan base. He is a very valuable asset and a really positive contributor to an attacking side. And recently, I'm very pleased, Joao Pedro's got a couple of goals recently, and I'm, delighted for him. And it was a great goal as well. Last time out in Newcastle for a 2-2 draw, of course, scoring the equaliser. So I'm delighted for him, but he's so streaky, and often he's very frustrating. Joao Pedro in terms of the play in between the goals. Nico always did the right thing. Even if he scuffed up finishes, he was always doing the right build-up play. So he would have got loads of minutes. Aston Villa, I don't know, maybe a deal can be done. Everton doesn't surprise me at all. God, they should have kept Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin! Have you seen what he's doing? I feel like we are in some sort of parallel universe. He's scoring goals against Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, scoring braces. He's scoring for Leeds as well. That's kind of nice. I'm sort of happy for the kid, although don't know how old he is now. He's probably pushing 30. How old is he? Because there was a time, I don't know, freaking 5 years ago or something. I would maybe around 5 years ago, I said Chelsea should consider looking at him. He's 28, to be fair. He turns 29 at the end of the season. That's a nice story, isn't it? Nice story. Apparently, Atletico Madrid and Napoli could also be options for Nico Jackson. I could see him at Atletico Madrid. I could see him there. Right, let's move on. Let's keep going. So there's a story on Cy Phillips' Chelsea.news website talking about Chelsea looking at a Brazil forward who scored 20 goals this season. He is citing it from Sky Sports. Oh, here we go. Chelsea are apparently interested in signing a Brazilian forward who bagged 20 goals for his club this season. An interesting story has developed. He's still young. Forward Victor Roque, or Rock, however you say it, is still just 20 years old, but already has 2 caps for the Brazil national side and is a bit of a journeyman in the early stage of his career and has taken some interesting directions. Guys, you will remember he was snapped up by Barcelona in 2023. I think we looked at him as well, but he played just 16 times for the Spanish Giants and he only scored 2 goals, right, Simon Phillips, because it's Johnson then, that's the wrong Simon. He went on loan to play for Betis, but again, he only managed 7 goals and 33 appearances, which is poor. Barcelona decided they would sell him, and he returned to his native Brazil, to Palmeiras. He's had much more success. He scored 20 goals in 56 appearances this season, which is pretty good. It's better than 1 in 3. It's not insane, though. So rumours and stories are boiling up yet again. Apparently Chelsea have looked at him before, so 20 years old. We've got dialogue open with Palmeiras. What do I think about this, guys? Not for me, I'm afraid, because we have so many young, promising centre forwards. My position remains firmly the same on strikers. We have, I'm going to say João Pedro isn't a striker, but whatever. João Pedro, Nico's gone. Certainly Liam Delap. He's 23. He's not young, but that's still young. I mean, what am I saying? That's young. He's 23 years old, the striker, Liam Delap. We, of course, have Mark Yu. He's a teenage striker. He's very good. We, of course, have Shimweka. He's 17, playing very highly under 21 level. Rated really highly. I watched him score a hat-trick live at the beginning of the season. He's a beast. He's a great striker. We've got... always forget him, is it Datsun Satpaev, the Kazakh's young striker? Again, only 17 years old. For me, he has got Strasbourg written all over him. And of course, what's happening in the summer? Well, we've got a 23-year-old like Liam Delap joining, called Emmanuel Omega. Am I missing anyone? All on the books. So bringing in young strikers is pointless. It is pointless. Unless they want to sign him and loan him and just whatever, portfolio him. But I don't really give a so-and-so about that, mate. I want Chelsea to win games and have a very good squad. I don't mind buying young players and having a good, big squad. But I want to, have a reliable and I want more continuity. I want more points on the board. Speaking of, I am quite okay with how things are going, by the way. Top 4 at Christmas in all competitions, including a semi-final. Including a semi-final against Arsenal or Palace. That game's still yet to play. And of course, we start the FA Cup. We're probably going to qualify for the Champions League knockouts, but we'll have to do it, I think, through a playoff. But I think we'll do it. If you said you're in all 4 competitions at Christmas, which means you're in a semi-final, and you're in the top 4, well, of course you're in all 4 competitions. You're not going to get, eliminated from the Premier League in December. But you're in the top 4 in December at Christmas, and you're in all the competitions. Considering we're playing high-level Champions League football, I would have been like, thank you very much. I would have pretty much taken that. So, just wanted to give a sort of temp check on my feelings there. Right, mate, let's talk a little bit more. Now, again, to cite Cy Phillips, who does have good information. He wrote on this Substack about some reports about some players we're looking at. Matt Law of The Telegraph has also been reporting to reiterate the information that's circulating, basically saying that Chelsea are in the market for a new midfielder. Now, for me, this is Romeo Lavia concern red flag vibes, I think. I think not in the same way will they replace the left wing because of Mudryk, as in, we can't use this guy, we need to just think without him. Maybe sort of half that with Lavia, because they're like, we need to just think this guy's rarely going to be available, basically. Maybe they're thinking that, which is such a shame. He's still 19. Is this kid ever going to turn 20? Romeo Lavia. He is... Oh, he's 21. I just froze him in time at 19. Oh, he's 21. He's past it, mate. He's old. He's 21. But yeah, so Chelsea are looking at midfielders. There is speculated January will be quiet, but of course, I mean, if a whiff of an opportunity comes up in January, you know what these lot are like, what this mob's like, they'll probably go, oh, thank you very much. But we'll see what happens there. The midfielders mentioned, of course, that have been previously linked to Chelsea, high-profile ones, Kobbie Mainoo. If he was to go to a Premier League team, you think it would be Chelsea. And of course, like Morgan Rogers, he's very close with Cole Palmer. Adam Wharton, of course, of Crystal Palace, very high-level footballer. And indeed, Elliot Anderson. Now, of course, both Englishmen, well, all Englishmen, Kobbie Mainoo, Wharton, and Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson being like the most elite Galactico one. Like, he's had an amazing season, and he starts for England now. England and a plethora of insane talent. You know, Tuchel's gone, I need Elliot Anderson in the midfield. I need Morgan Rogers. Like, he's got some big old sowing spheres on him, Tuchel, isn't it? He's like, nah, not Bellingham, not Palmer, not Foden, you know, not Eze in the number 10. I'm going for Morgan Rogers. Fair play. But Elliot Anderson, yeah, I mean, he looks like a crucial midfielder for England. Again, I love Caicedo, and Caicedo's different. If you had a midfield pivot of Elliot Anderson and Moises Caicedo, forget about it, man. You got the game sewn up. You got Caicedo, you know, breaking up play and indeed playmaking, and you got Elliot Anderson doing the same, but slightly different, of course, profiled differently. He's not as a destroyer as Caicedo, more of an orchestrator, but the passes Anderson makes. And, you know, of course, we see Fernandes pushed up a little bit more, so it'll be a bit different. And I'm never trying to sell Enzo Fernandez, but I've got that little wiggly feeling in the back of my head that in the next 2 years, Real Madrid might put some money on the table for Enzo Fernandez. And look, I've been right before about certain things, so who knows? Anyway, so midfielders, we'll see what happens there. And finally, let's chat about this kid from Lille then. This is coming from Court Offside. I'm going to go for this with little run-up. Ayoub Bouadi, with a couple of extra consonants in there that you don't expect. Ayoub with 2 Y's, Bouadi with 2 D's. So I certainly didn't moonwalk my way through that one, but still. Not only Chelsea and Manchester United, but almost every European giant is lining up for this quote. Generational talent, end quote. Sources close to the situation have informed Court Offside. Okay, so he's seen as the perfect fit for Ruben Amorim's system at Manchester United. United need all kinds of stuff, don't they, to sort themselves out. They may move fast. Scouts are tracking closely for months, viewing him as a key piece in the post-Casemiro era. Chelsea remain true to their endless hunt for young stars. The Blues could knock on Neil's door in January with 45 to 50 million bid. They want to sign him outright, then loan him to Strasbourg. See, this is like, if you're a Strasbourg fan, right, okay, and yes, I will never tell them to not be annoyed with the ownership, yeah? Because, you know, totally understand. Strasbourg currently sits 7th in Liga, which is fine. It's about par. Do you know what I mean? They are 4 points off a European place. They're playing in the Conference League. They're top of the Conference League table, yeah? So Lille are in the top 4, and they're in good form. They've won their last 4 in a row. They're level on points with Marseille, who have been excellent this season. So Lille, yeah. Imagine if you're Strasbourg, the generational talent from a team who's better than you in the league. You take them and he comes on loan to you. He's a 50 million player, yeah, and he gets to you. It would be very hard to not be excited about that for me if I was a Strasbourg fan, being like, even if you know this geezer's, you're like incubating him so he can turn up and play at Chelsea, but he's leaving one of your rivals that you've been watching play well in the league. And that's funny because he's going to your parent club. Yeah, so, you know, that's the wrong term, but you know what I mean? That, yeah, the main sort of mothership club. But you get to have him for a while in the league where he's been playing really well against you. I mean, that would be very hard to not get excited about him. But yeah, loads of European. I mean, PSG are looking at him. He's a top French talent, so PSG are determined not to let him slip away. Loads of clubs are in for him. If you ask me personally, I think in terms of, if it's true, like the whole world wants this kid, and you know, PSG just won the quadruple, whatever other big clubs. And then Chelsea's pitches Why don't you come to us so we can loan you to Strasbourg? To me, that sounds like a pretty hard sell. Do you know what I mean? But then again, they've done it before. You know? They've done it before, so maybe they can do it again. Anyway, what do you think, guys? I'll, of course, update you on any and all developing stories regarding Chelsea Football Club here on Football Therapy. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you're listening on Spotify, why not give me a 5-star review? That's nice, and follow. I'm going to try and make sure it's also available on Apple Podcasts as soon as possible. I'll make sure all that stuff's distributed. I'm going to keep going on the podcast platforms for those of you who find it easier. All right, mate, that's enough for the moment. I'll see you soon. Take care and peace.